welcome to SportsCenter from here in Southern California. Along with Neil Everett, I'm Stan Barrett. Boy, good seats for the game, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You think we can still get nachos?
You know what? The cheese on those give me, well, they make my stomach hurt. Make my stomach hurt. A game we just saw left Texas aching and wondering what may have been. What is Alabama, your title game winner? How about a little space?
Intercepted by Alabama. Marcel Darius has to the 5. Touchdown, Alabama.
This is SportsCenter.
Roll Tide roll. Alabama's first title since '92. Nick Saban getting it done again, but not without a Texas-sized scare in the fourth quarter from a true freshman quarterback. Colt McCoy's shoulder injury changed the game. What might have been if the real McCoy had been in. And while the title game had its ups and downs, it's nothing but ups when we roll the top 10 plays of the bowl season.
Bobbles it, has it, one-handed grab, what an interception!
NFL wildcard weekend, we're breaking down the matchups. We got the impact players for each game. Plus, Mike Holmgren sticks with Eric Mangini. SportsCenter, right out.
And welcome to SportsCenter at the Rose Bowl. The crimson and white confetti has settled onto this beautiful field. The crystal ball belongs to the Crimson Tide, and the SEC has won the last 4 national championships and 6 of the 12 BCS championship games. So welcome to our post-game coverage. Chris Fowler, our special guest, USC head coach Pete Carroll, and of course Kirk Herbstreit. Pete, you talked before the game about managing the chaos of the early minutes of a championship game. When you never know what's going to happen. Bama did a good job of that.
Yeah, it got real crazy. You know, the crazy turnovers. There was an opportunity there for Texas to go bang, bang, and put that ball in the end zone. Alabama hung tough, had the goal line stand. The craziness didn't affect them, and then the game settled down. It was only 6-0, and when they scored that touchdown, when they had 7-6, then everything was evened out again. Now the game starts.
You know, the interesting thing to me is that the injury, you knew it would affect the Texas offense, but I think it affected the Texas defense as much as anything. I think they lost their stinger, their swagger after the McCoy injury, and next thing you know, Alabama gets, what, 24 unanswered points.
Yeah.
Of all the players in college football, you could not afford to lose to injury in this situation. Yeah. Had to be with Colt McCoy. The entire game plan centered around his passing and his running. This the first standalone BCS championship game here in Pasadena. The beautiful setting, beautiful weather overhead, and 2 teams that roll in here. Vince Young, the guy that got Carroll and the Trojans here 4 years ago. Sorry, it's a bad memory. He was on the sidelines along with Ricky Williams and so many other greats. This time, Texas again, the underdog, and this is the inexplicable. Corey Reamer checks to a fake punt. T.J. Fitzgerald intercepted by Blake Gideon. The first series of the game. See what's going on?
No, I just finally got a good look at this. Was a disguise that Texas had. They had 10 guys up, and they pulled out of it, and you get a great play, great disguise. They threw it uncovered to the gunner, and they covered it. That's a great play. I didn't realize that's how it happened.
But the 4th snap for Texas, McCoy, a design run, a big Marcel Darius hits him right there on the right shoulder. McCoy knows right away that he's hurt, Kirk.
Yeah, I think initially he thought he might be able to shake it off. He sits on top of the pile, tries to maybe think he's ready for the next play, and then he has to shake it off. And at that point, Texas calls a timeout to try to regroup.
And in comes Garrett Gilbert from Austin, a true freshman. He was the National High School Player of the Year last year, set a Texas state record, a big talent, but they wanted to see him in September of 2010, not January of 2010. He just had mop-up duty this year. No way he could be ready for this.
No, I don't think there's a true freshman quarterback in the country that would be ready to come into this atmosphere against this kind of defense. The game was moving way too fast for him here early. They try to go play action, try to catch Alabama off guard. The defense is there, and eventually they end up settling for the field goal.
That's the big win, Pete, as McCoy goes off to have that shoulder check. But then the onside kick, and this was a wrinkle. Alabama not ready for the short kickoff.
Yeah, I think after the first one, you know, they fielded the ball all right. I bet they told Julio to go ahead and let's field that second one, and the ball hit in between the 2 guys. Couldn't get the ball's on the 32-yard line. That's too far up the field. That was a mistake by them.
And it's another opportunity here for Texas, talking about the mayhem of the early part of the football game.
It was crazy right in here, and boy, Texas had a chance. They couldn't seize the opportunity.
Now they couldn't. A 3rd and 5. Dan Buckner had an opportunity, could not come up with the pass from Gilbert. Texas receivers really struggled in the first half.
Yeah, Dan Buckner and Malcolm Williams both just really struggling, I think, to have the confidence to be able to secure the football and make the catch.
So it's only 6-0, Bama down, and then the Heisman Trophy winner would go to work some physical runs here.
Yeah, this is a nice football right here. They're banging it up in there, really taking it to a defense that you wouldn't think this would happen to.
And that's the thing we wanted to see. How would Ingram, the Heisman winner, do against the #1 rushing defense in the country? And we learned a lot in the first half.
Lights out.
Look at Cody. The big guy flinched. They didn't get the false start.
Yeah. The umpire could have got that. The referee could have got that. He didn't get it. They got away with it and banged it in the end zone.
Jumbo formation as Ingram just waltzes in the end zone. Bama takes a 7-6 lead. Ensuing Texas drive, 3rd and 15. Courtney Upshaw hits Gilbert as he throws the ball. This is almost another injury to a quarterback.
Yeah, Sherrod Harris all of a sudden starts to warm up, the 3rd-string quarterback. You know you're in trouble, but fortunately he was able to shake this off and come back for a pretty heroic second half.
You know, I think they had trouble here finding their rhythm and what they wanted to do with Gilbert, and he was struggling. There was 3 straight drop-back passes. He got hammered. They couldn't get anything going.
And meanwhile, Richardson breaks up the middle. The freshman untouched, 48 yards for a touchdown. Great speed.
Yeah, he's got to be fast now.
Well, he's fast, and Texas slanted, and it actually created the crease within the defense. Good job by Johnson, a left guard, with a dominating block. They open up a crease for Richardson. He's going to take it all the way.
So it's 14-6, but Texas has a chance to get back in the game on the ensuing drive, and Malcolm Williams in the end zone can't come up with this pass.
Yeah, that's a catchable ball, I would think. I think any receiver would say, I got a shot at this one. Now, the DB may have knocked it out, but I think he missed it before the contact.
You got to be stronger with your hands. At 6'3", you have an advantage. You got to go up and help the true freshman out.
He needed that catch right there.
The Texas coaches couldn't believe it, and it was so costly because next play, Javier Arenas jumps the slant route, the interception by the freshman.
Yeah, that's ill-advised. There's 3 guys around the football. He just didn't look and threw right into the coverage.
And like any young quarterback, when you throw to the middle and the heart of a defense, there's just too many colors, too much movement for a young quarterback.
You can see him. He was really struggling in the drop-back game.
Disaster right here. The shovel pass is picked up by Marcel Darius. Look at the big guy, the spin move. 100 pounds to the end zone.
That's a Hall of Fame highlight shot right there, man. That's a great one.
Instead of taking a knee and going in, down 11, they end up going down 18, Kirk. And the bad news for Texas fans came at the beginning of the second half. Lisa Salters got the word that it was going to have to be the young freshman the rest of the way.
Colt McCoy will not return to this game. So I asked Mac, how does your game plan change with the true freshman in under center? And he said, look, we just got to find something that he's able to do, simplify, so that we're able to get something out of our offense.
They did by finding Jordan Shipley in the 3rd quarter. While Texas' defense was smothering Bama, Ty didn't have a single first down in the 3rd quarter. Finally, Shipley, his first touchdown catch in a bowl.
I think this is a turning point for young Garrett Gilbert. I think he had some confidence after this. The offensive line does a good job of giving him time. That was the most important thing. The blitz, he had just enough time here to be able to get the ball over top of McClain, and he gets a one-on-one matchup with Shipley on the man that he needed.
I think everything changed for Garrett right there. He all of a sudden felt it. And then look what happened.
This is a fumble on an onside kick. Texas has the ball. They got momentum, but Bama's defense would rise up and stiffen here.
But it changes the field position. Just by catching this break, even though they don't come up with a first down, they're able to push Alabama, who's very conservative at this point in the game, to get the defense back on the field and get the ball back.
And Williams not able to come up with a catch on 3rd and 11.
I think Alabama at the time felt that they just kept running the football, they would win the game.
Absolutely.
They couldn't feel any kind of firepower out of Texas. I think they felt they had it.
So, up by 11, the very reliable Tiffin from 52 can't quite get it. But could they get the Heisman Trophy winner going in the 4th quarter?
What a
Shipley,
great move by
it's
Shipley.
a bust and a touchdown.
It's man coverage with Robbie Green. They brought another blitz, and this is risk-reward type of defense. Upshaw gets there late, but one-on-one Green against Shipley, and he finds him again for the touchdown.
Both big touchdown passes was against the pressure, and they found a guy, and Shipley came through.
Craig Davis gets a hug. They're finding ways with a young quarterback. McCoy tried to be a leader. And this is two-point conversion. Buckner does make the tough catch over the middle, and suddenly it's a three-point game inside of 6.5 minutes to play. But Ingram would come back in the game. They worked the cramps out, and they worked him.
But the momentum clearly favoring Texas, but Ingram comes back and takes over along with the offensive line, really getting big push up front and giving him some space to run.
Yeah, but on 3rd and 8, Muschamp's defense would get a stop, Pete.
Yeah.
They would get the ball back here. McElroy pressured. Never looked comfortable all night, did he, out there?
Yeah, he had a tough night. He really didn't do the kinds of things that you like to see him do, but he did enough to win the football game.
No sacks allowed by Texas all night until the Texas native, Eric Anders, comes off the edge, forces the fumble. Upshaw recovers it. Crucial.
Yeah, what a big play. God, that was
I'd like to apologize because I just bragged the play before about how Texas's offensive line, the much maligned offensive line, hadn't given up a sack, and of course the next play sack.
And then Ingram able to muscle the ball 1 more yard after contact to go with 1,002 that he had this season. He impressed you, Pete.
Yeah, this is a great exclamation point he puts on. Being the Heisman guy, showing it in a big situation, the drama of coming back in the 4th quarter to finish it, that was really cool.
Yeah, that run very symbolic of his season.
With the Gatorade bath,
look out,
Nick Saban. Excellent execution by the Tide there.
A little physical.
I'm telling you, 32 and #1 better look out now. Those guys are in trouble.
That came in a little hard.
They had a little bit of oomph in that thing. They may not play a whole lot next year.
Mac Brown and Texas wondering what might have been had Colt McCoy been able to go. A nice embrace for the Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram, in the 2nd national title for Saban. Now at 2 different schools, they do it despite converting just 2 of 12 third downs and completing just 6 passes. McElroy just 58 yards, but notice 2 100-yard running backs, Ingram and Richardson. So Saban, comments after winning his 2nd national championship.
I'm so happy for our entire team. You know, our fans who have been great ever since we've been in Alabama, the players, the great job that they've done in buying in to do what we need to do, our coaching staff and everybody in the organization. And that's why this team is good. It's not just because of me. I'm proud of the team, and I'm proud of the way they played today. And I'm really proud of the state of Alabama and our folks that this means a lot to.
We had our eyes set on it since the beginning of the year, and just to do it with the whole team is truly a team effort. And I'm just so proud of everybody because we worked hard for it.
I thought Greg did a good job of managing the game today, got us in the right plays. We had 2 guys that rushed for over 100 yards, and that and the turnovers were probably the difference in the game.
You know, McElroy says kind of an ego blow to be called a game manager, but that's what he was tonight in the great tradition of Alabama quarterbacks in championship games. Jay Barker, when the Tide beat Miami back in '92, he threw 2 picks, completed only 4 passes. And Stedman Shealy, back in '79, when they had that goal line stand against Penn State, Barry Krause made the big stop. He was just 4 of 7. McElroy had to be elated about the championship, but a little bit disappointed in his performance on the big stage. Colt McCoy, obviously devastated, but classy as always afterwards.
Colt, what was it like for you to watch this game, your last game in a Longhorn uniform, from the sideline?
I love this game. I have a passion for this game. I've done everything I can to contribute to my team, and we made it this far. And it's unfortunate I didn't get to play. I would have given. I'd have given everything I had to be out there with my team.
We're definitely, you know, concerned when Colt went out, but I think, you know, the good thing is that Coach Davis has spent so much time preparing Garrett that he came in and you know, obviously started a little bit slow, but you know, I can't imagine what it was like for him to be thrown in there in the national championship game.
You know, here's a guy on the sideline standing there cold as could be, and all of a sudden in the national championship game you say, okay, son, you got it. So I can't even imagine. And I think it's a credit to him, it's a credit to the kids around him and Coach Davis for putting him in a position where he came back and actually had a chance to win the game.
SEC defenses continue to step up huge in BCS championship games. Began with Tennessee, which took on Marcus Outson, not the #1 Florida State quarterback back in '98. Saban and LSU got it done in '03. Florida and LSU, both a good job against Ohio State offenses. The Gators smothered an Oklahoma offense that rolled in there, scoring 60 a game in the Big 12. And Alabama tonight, allowing 21 points and just 276 total yards. Pete, as a defensive guy, you had to appreciate this, but you said a little while ago, kind of quote, easy night for defenses because of the opposing offensive game plans?
Yeah, I think once McCoy goes out, you could see that there was such a struggle for Texas to find themselves that Alabama just needed to keep playing defense. They did it. You know, they did a great job, but it was not a difficult night. They were not challenged schematically much. They just needed to hang in there, even though they found it. You know, Texas found their way to get the ball down the field. Shipley came alive. You know, Gilbert started to do some stuff, but in all, it was a pretty easy night. Alabama's not a difficult team to go against. They don't really tax you in a lot of ways. They just pound you. They did it. Great winning formula tonight that got their win.
You know, I think Jim McElwain, the offensive coordinator from Alabama, adjusted his game plan as much as Texas had to adjust their game plan, because at that point, I think Nick Saban said, listen, we're going to control things on our end, on the defensive side. We're going to keep, if you notice, Nick Saban was more than willing to punt, just continue to push that young freshman quarterback back inside the 10-yard line, thinking eventually we're going to get a turnover, we're going to get a mistake, we're going to be able to capitalize on it. Let's continue to play the odds. So I think Alabama got ultra conservative, and next thing you know, they got the 24 straight points. But I want to say Alabama, very deserving. Congratulations. But what I saw from Texas with a true freshman quarterback, down 24-6, most people thinking Texas has no chance. That was a remarkable effort by the Texas defense to give them hope, to give them a chance, to give Garrett Gilbert a short field to work with for the most part in the second half. And then eventually they hit a couple plays. You talked about the play by Shipley. His confidence gets up. Next thing you know, if you would have told me at halftime that Texas would fight back, get within 3 points, have the football with a chance to tie and all the momentum of this whole stadium, I would have said there's no way.
Yeah,
they deserve a lot of credit for that.
That's the truth. You know, they had to be a team that held together very well. At halftime, they had to be poised. Yeah. They had to come back. They still had to wait through the third quarter before their chance arose. But when the chance was there, then you saw them take care of business and get back in that game. Mac did a great job to keep his team alive in it. It just was too much. Too much to overcome.
And when the chance was there, Bama's defense erased it with Anders play off the edge and the forced fumble as Bama seals it. And Colt McCoy with those 45 wins, those 15,000 yards of total offense. Boy, sometimes sports can be pretty cruel. Not a Hollywood end to this great career for McCoy, a spectator on the sidelines. When we come back on SportsCenter, Nick Saban will join us on the set, fresh off his second national championship and the first for Alabama in 17 years. Meantime, back to Neil and Stan.
Well, there were other things going on Thursday in the sports world, not a lot of other things, but things we believe you will be interested in.
The other players on the PGA Tour are interested in winning. We'll show you the start of their season. And we don't know if they'll ever trade punches, but Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao continue to trade accusations. The latest coming up. And we head back to the Rose Bowl. As Chris mentioned, Nick Saban joins our crew on the set. He's the only coach to win BCS titles with 2 different programs. We'll hear from him about Alabama's win. And Mike Holmgren has given Eric Mangini his vote of confidence for another year. But what about Josh Cribbs? Will he get the green he wants to stay with the Browns?
You're at the Rose Bowl. Well-executed Gatorade bath by the Crimson Tide. Nick Saban congratulated by Mack Brown. Bama's first national title in 17 years and the second for Saban. 2 different schools, LSU in year 4 and now Alabama in year 3 as he joins our special guests, Pete Carroll, Dennis Erickson, Urban Meyer, Joe Paterno among active coaches. Bobby Bowden just having retired with 2 national championships. Nick hasn't yet had a shower. We got a jacket over that nice cold shirt, but I'm sure you're not feeling any pain. I mean, it was a weird game from the start. You guys having to survive the craziness, felt comfortable at halftime. You have to hang on late with the turnover.
Well, the whole game was about turnovers. You know, we tried the pass when they bring the gunner in on the punt and get it intercepted, and let a ball fall in there on a sky kick, and I mean, it's just a nightmare. And got the ball kicked into us another time. So 3 turnovers actually in the kicking game, but our turnovers were the key for us as well because we had bad field position in the third quarter and made the big play right before the half and got the one right at the end of the game. So turnovers were the whole story of the game.
What did you think when the quarterback went down? What went through your head then?
Well, I was a little concerned because we felt like we had a good plan for what they did when he was playing.
Sure.
All right, so now they started to try to run the ball, which they didn't have a lot of success doing. But we felt like we needed to change what we were doing, and then toward the end of the game, they sort of got back to what they did when Colt was in there. But, you know, he's a great player and a great competitor, and I'm sure he's worked all his life to get in a game like this and had tremendous accomplishments, and you really have to feel bad that for him and his family that he wasn't able to compete in the game tonight.
There's a bunch of fans here that felt bad about that, too.
Oh, I'm sure.
You guys took great advantage of it.
As far as you were concerned, when it looked like he was not going to come back, how do you think it affected the game the most as far as determining the outcome of this football game?
Well, I can't really comment on that because I thought their quarterback played better as the game went on and played really well in the second half. The big thing for us was when we made the big play right before the half and intercept a pass and run it for a touchdown with 3 seconds to go, our players at halftime were like, we won the game. And we were very flat in the third quarter, and Texas did a great job of coming back in the game. But, you know, when you're playing against a great team, and Texas is a great team, and when you're playing a national championship game, you know the other team knows how to win, and they were going to come back in the game at some point in time, and we were flat and didn't do a very good job in the third quarter, and they did a great job of coming back in the game. So the big thing to me is that we got ahead and we relaxed, and we didn't finish like we need to, but came back in the fourth quarter and got it done.
That's always your motto, finish. You didn't have a first down in the third quarter. Ingram's cramping up. Finally, he gets going, and then talk about the play that sealed it. Anders forcing the fumble on your first sack of the night.
Well, we faked the blitz. I mean, we were getting close on a lot of five-man pressures, and we faked the blitz on the other side, and they slid it and squeezed it, and he came off, and they didn't even block him. They just cut him loose. So very fortunate.
It was a classic hit where the ball's out. You got to go crazy on that one.
Nah, I went crazy.
What a moment. That's a great moment right there.
That was the best moment of the game. That's a great moment.
You've been a part of some great teams, and now that this one's over, this season's over, what are some of the thoughts and some of the descriptions that you're always going to remember about 2009 and the character and just what this team really allowed them to get to this point?
Well, I tell you, to do it as quickly as we did and the condition that the program was in when we went there really says a lot, because a lot of the players that are seniors on this team and made a significant contribution are guys that just bought in. They didn't choose it. They bought into it, worked hard, understood the togetherness that it takes to be successful, had a lot of discipline to execute and do the things they needed to do. And the development of those players as well as good recruiting is what allowed us to get here so quickly. And that's what I'm going to remember about this team the most. The pride that I have in the guys that were here and how they developed and enhanced the new guys coming in as a part of the program, and that really helped us in terms of gaining success.
I know you're not an emotional guy, but hope once you get a shower, you can give a nice big smile and savor this national championship.
Man, you know, I enjoy you guys, all of you. And Pete's my buddy. When we came out to Southern Cal to do the commercial,
that was cool.
How
about that? Look at that.
Hey, by the way, you look great in the movie, too. I want you to know.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Well, I didn't do any acting. You know, the guy just said, do it like you do it.
Yeah, that was good.
Congratulations.
Championship in year 3 at Alabama, year 4 at LSU, left Les Miles, a lot of good players, so that he can win a championship there in between those two. Nick, congratulations. Well done.
Well, thank you very much.
Done it in Saban style, defensively, and with a power running game as the Crimson Tide have enough at the end to hold off a very game Texas squad and raise that crystal ball into the night here in Pasadena. Neil, back to you.
And the Rose Bowl.
Well, thanks. The key was Alabama's 24 second quarter points, including this monster play just before the half on the carom. 300-pound Marcel Darius picks off the shovel pass, runs into the end zone. Mac Brown can't believe it.
We knew we were going to struggle with points, and we felt like we had 15 seconds left, so we called the safest thing that we thought might squirt. So we called a little shovel pass, which I've never seen intercepted before, and I sure had never seen it intercepted for a touchdown. So it was kind of that night for us. We felt like that we've got great receivers, and Garrett had a really strong arm. We were about the 40s, so if we could we were going to try to run down 10, 15 yards and then take a shot in the end zone. That's what we're trying to do.
At halftime, when we made the big play right before the half where Marcel intercepted a pass and ran it for a touchdown, you know, it was like we won the game at halftime. And you know, you can't accept being average. You can't accept anything but the best, knowing that when you play a team in a national championship game, that team knows how to win. They have great character themselves, and they have an ability to come back in the game.
Pete and Kirk alongside here. Yeah, Texas did rally. Alabama didn't finish the game till the final minutes, but What about that shovel pass? They try to go for a safe call, Pete. It backfires instead of going in down 11. Now you're down 18.
They're going to regret that for a long time. You didn't have to do it. It is a safe a pass plays you can handle just about, but they're going to regret that one for a long time. What a big turning point. Look at the difference in this football game right there.
I hope fans from Texas don't second guess the call, because it is a safe call.
It's not a bad call. No.
What's interesting is the momentum at that point favoring Alabama, and he tries to run the football with about 19 seconds to go and picks up 9 yards and thinks, let's try to get a timeout.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll hit the shovel pass.
Will pop.
Maybe, So I don't fault the fact that he was trying to do something after he picked up 9 yards. I just thought they would just take a knee and get out of Dodge while they could, only down 17-6.
Yeah, that's a regrettable moment that a lot of people are going to remember.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad football call, but it sure backfired.
Given that, it was remarkable that Gilbert was able to
How about the athletic
composure in the third quarter and actually throw a couple touchdowns to Shipley.
Absolutely.
I mean, after that bad a play to end the half, to come out as a true freshman and gather himself in the third quarter when Texas' defense was shutting down.
A great statement, because that was as difficult a situation as a kid could be put into, and now you see that there's some hope for next year too. You saw him come through in a way that was very unique and very special.
Great point. Invaluable experience for next season. All of a sudden, Texas and the experience that he gained tonight, it's a different looking offense in 2010.
And after Bama's defense created yet another turnover to seal the game late, victory formation for Texas native Greg McElroy. Not great stats, but he managed the game, and he still has never lost a game as a starter in high school or college, a national champion. In the 20s and 30s, Alabama established a national reputation with big wins here at the Rose Bowl. Now, 7 days into the new decade, they are national champions for the first time in 17 years. Nick Saban was hired as head coach January 3rd, 2007. They paid him $4 million. It seemed outrageous at the time, almost a desperate move. But in year 2, Saban got Bama close to this big stage, only to fall short. And in year 3, all of what came last year set the stage for this championship run. Here's Tom Rinaldi.
More than a tribute to talent or a celebration of the supreme, this is for the grinder. That's what Nick Saban is, how he lives, what he brings. And January 7th, the grinder brought home the crystal.
The Crimson Tide is back.
His entire career, Saban has preached the power of process over the reward of result. His time at Alabama is proof.
Together, everybody can accomplish more. It takes trust, respect for each other, and what everyone's role is and what they need to do.
Lifting a program from the depths of NCAA sanctions and the lower rungs of the SEC, he never set a timeline or made a prediction for the Tide's return. He never worried about Bear's shadow. He never wore houndstooth. He grinded instead, constantly, obsessively, totally. Through time, the process began to work. Even if the grimace didn't change, the program did. Even if the charm didn't come, the success still arrived.
Touchdown, Alabama! John Parker Wilson keeps the Crimson Tide undefeated.
Alabama reached the top of the polls last season, only to lose a fourth quarter lead and a chance to win the national title to Florida.
I feel responsible for everything that didn't go right.
Saban grinded on.
Mark Ingram up the middle. Touchdown, Alabama!
And this season, the tide not only turned.
Alabama, the dreaming is over.
The tide came in.
Nick Saban attempts to win his first title ever at Alabama.
Not in a flash of genius or with a flare of a trend, but with intensity and unity, resolve and purpose. The process ends here. The result is complete. Alabama is back.
Ingram battles, second effort, touchdown.
But under Nick Saban, this tide doesn't just roll. It rises. And in the end, it grinds.
Pete Carroll, Kirk Herbstreit back. I'm not sure who can say it better than Tom Rinaldi, but it's interesting. The focus never on the end result, Pete, always on the process. That's what he's always preaching, and it's proven successful again.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a great extension of that process going into the next year. I know Nick already mentioned one of his toughest years was after he won a national championship. This is really the great challenge for a coach, you know, to get this thing in order again and allow his players to realize that this is normal for them to be in this position and then take that to the next step and work it all the way through this process to the next season.
I remember amidst the controversy of him leaving the Dolphins and coming back to college football, those of us who know him, well, you know him and you know him and I know him, knew that based on the tradition of Alabama, the resources of Alabama, and his expertise and the way he is such a grinder and the way he goes out and recruits, you knew it was a matter of time till he was going to get to the top of the SEC and eventually win a national championship, maybe within 3 or 4 years. Now that he's done it, if you think about all the players that are returning for all the teams, with all due respect to USC, because we love the Trojans, I got to believe that Alabama, they're going to lose a few guys maybe early to the NFL. I think this is the preseason pick for the #1 team in the country in 2010.
I'll tell you what Nick appreciates, that the guys who helped win this championship here were not guys who came here when Bama was on top. They had to buy in it and believe, and they have reaped the rewards here. Speaking of next season, September the 2nd, Thursday, USC at Hawaii, part of our ESPN doubleheader. You get to work on the game plan already?
Can I do this part right here?
No. You get back to your day job, but it's been great, Pete. Thanks so much for your wisdom and your help the last couple of days.
Thank you.
Here in Pasadena. The Tide, national champions for the first time in 17 years. Saban would smile later on, briefly.
Walter McFadden with the big play there.
BCS title game. Who ate Garrett Gilbert? Marcel Darius. Just before the half, Alabama won big. Saban went nuts when he chucked the ball. Did you see that? That was funny. It's red. Texas is blue. Alabama's the best. Thursday, the proof.
Colt is hurt.
Oh, it's unfortunate for them.
McCoy will not return to this game.
We got to plan on playing without him. Look out. It's intercepted by Alabama. Marcel Darius has it to the 50, to the 5. Touchdown. Gilbert got a man open. Touchdown, Texas. Freshman growing up before your eyes. Gilbert fumble. Ball's loose. Bama's got it. Ingram battles, second effort. Touchdown. And that's it. Flashbulbs pop, sideline erupt. Alabama's the king of college football. They've won the national championship.
So, Neil, you know that down in Alabama, they enjoy a lot of the same foods that I grew up on in Louisiana. So that's gonna make you paying off that lunch wager very enjoyable. Then again, you could always take me out for some Texas brisket.
I took Texas, but now in honor of Alabama, I wore the red tie, and also in honor of the color of liquid they threw on Coach Saban, I wore the red tie. Roll Tide!
When are you going to win one of these?